Welcome back to the Sportsbook Draft, where FanDuel's pick is in.
With the first pick in the 2025 Sportsbook Draft, FanDuel selects the Kentucky Derby.
Brilliant pick, as FanDuel becomes the first sportsbook app where you can bet the Derby.
Just a savvy move by a savvy franchise. New customers get a no-sweat first bet on the Kentucky Derby up to $500.
It's like they know each other.
What do you think Rob's saying to him right now?
Probably something about oats.
Race 6 on Saturday at Churchill Downs is the Grade 2 Pat Day Mile. We're going to preview that one for you in just a moment. Gino Buccola here alongside Mike Beer with producer Lucia helping us out. Don't forget, folks, you can purchase the Kentucky Derby packages right now at shop.drf.com. You can get the past performances, the player's guide, the betting strategies. I think it's David Aragona and Marcus Hirsch giving you all of their suggested wagers throughout the card. And then Clocker reports Mike Welsh has been live on site for the last couple weeks, seeing all of these horses for the Derby and the Oaks train in the mornings. Once you get those past performances, you get the handicapping done, you head on over to FanDuel. New customers can get up to a $500 no sweat first bet back. You can check out all the details at FanDuel. Join now and make your wagers on Derby Day. Let's get into the field for the Pat Day Mile. Always love this race, Mike, because you get a lot of those horses who just couldn't go the mile and a quarter for the Derby, or maybe they didn't have enough qualifying points. There's always a couple really talented 3-year-olds that are in here that just have some reasons why they weren't quite Derby horses.
Yeah, I agree. It's always that kind of a race. It's almost always a wide open betting affair too. And I think that's the case again this year. There are some really interesting horses in here. We can actually move on here and talk about the pace right now if you want to, because I think that's the whole key here. There's tons of speed in this race.
Absolutely. I mean, from the inside, you've got Matticat Road. From the outside, you've got Innovator. You know that Macho Music wants to go too, and Smoke 'em Wicked wants to go. So all four of them want to be close, want to be forwardly placed. Something's got to give here in this one-turn mile because I don't know how far out of it any of them really want to be either, right? Matticat Road's shown that he can sit off a little bit if he has to, but I don't think the other horses really want to be passing horses. I think they do their best running on the front end.
Exactly. I mean, these horses, there's a bunch of horses in there who want to be involved from the start here. And even if Matticat Road, I mean, maybe they do have ideas of backing off a little here, but he's got the rail. So it's not like they've got tons of options here. He might have no choice but to go. We'll see what kind of trip, I guess, too, that the number 2 Built gets, because it feels like that's maybe the best thing about Built is he's fast, but he's also tactical, and he's probably going to fall into a good spot early here.
We've seen him make early moves and then get tired into kind of fast paces, or be a horse that's fine flipping the switch and moving early. He just didn't really want to go that far. This turn back will help him a little bit. Let's meet the field, starting with Matticat Road on the inside, who's going to cut back. This is a multiple graded stakes placed horse. We're actually looking at his 4th place finish in the Florida Derby. Reason why we pull this one up, he's behind Tapan Street, who was qualified for the Derby, Sovereignty, who's in the Derby, and Neo Equus, who's in the Derby. And if you look at all of the horses in the last 3 races, there have been 6 horses that have outfinished him. 5 of them are in the Derby, and the other one was Tapan Street, who would have been in the Derby had he not got injured. So it's tough to really knock his form overall, because it's not like he's been getting overmatched, and he's just been facing horses that are a little bit better and probably better suited to go a little bit longer. Just a way better spot for him here.
Yeah, all true. I mean, it does feel like cutting back in distance around one turn particularly could really help him. I mean, you go back to the Rebel 2 starts back. That was a really good performance, I thought. I mean, that pace was fast, man. And he was out there whacking it out the entire way, still lasted for second. That was a good performance, and it just sort of suggests that he's a really, really nice fit here for Baffert, who's doing the right thing and dropping him a little bit in class and going a little shorter.
The number 2 Built is a stakes winner. He's multiple graded stakes placed. And in watching his races at Louisiana, Mike, I like this horse a little bit, but I just didn't think he was a mile and a quarter type horse. And it looked exactly like that when he was running in back-to-back races, where he'd kind of loomed up chasing Magnitude. And then at the top of the lane, when Magnitude was asked, he just kicked into another gear and Built backed up. And then last time out, Built is looming up and takes the lead, like ominously, and then just hits a real wall just after the mile or so point. It just didn't look like he wanted to go much farther than that. You mapped out all the speed in here. It just looks like he's really well spotted and could get a great trip.
Yeah, he can just sit the trips that he sat in either of his last two races, and then make the same move, but do it going a mile, and it feels like it could really work for him. The other thing to point out about the Louisiana Derby last time is the race totally collapsed at the end of the race. It went to closers. I mean, he actually ran really, really well there. I'm with you. I thought as the more I watched him through the winter and spring, the more I thought, he's a talented enough horse to try to press on to the Derby, but he doesn't want to go that far. This horse is going to benefit from a cutback.
California Burrito is a stakes winner. He won the John Battaglia on the synthetic at Turfway, but he did break his maiden going 7 furlongs on the slop at Churchill Downs. So we at least know he can run, over the dirt or on a surface that's not synthetic. What concerns me a little bit, Mike, was the races where he ran really well at Turfway. They went so slow in those races to the half mile. I don't know how that's going to translate when he faces a group like this who could be going way quicker early on.
Right. And to get an idea of that, go look at his last race, the Jeff Ruby Stakes right through. They went wicked fast on the pace there, and he actually ran his race, but he just couldn't cope with the faster pace there, and got really tired at the end. I respect the fact, Gino, that we already know that he can handle dirt. So I don't think you really have to worry about this horse coming back off the synthetic and wondering, can he run his best race? Because I do think he showed early in his career that he can handle dirt.
Smoke 'em Wicked is a horse that you and I have talked about before. We're both a fan of this Louisiana bred. He's honest. He comes out and he gives a really good account of himself. He ran second behind a nice horse named Colloquial in the Lafayette. He ran his race. Colloquial is just better. And in the Rebel, that's going too far for him. And that Rebel is a race that we've talked about. It came back pretty strong. Sandman and Tistastic were both in there, came back to win their next start. So I don't have a whole lot to knock on Smoke 'em Wicked. He'll have to go a little farther here and see if he can get the mile, but he's probably one of the quickest in here.
Yeah, I think the one-turn mile is good for him too. I mean, listen, the pace, I think the pace could be a real issue for this horse, because I do think he wants to sort of be involved early. I know you're going to, you could go back to those wins in December there and say, he stalked the pace and won those races. It's different against stalking horses that are, you just have over company, a barrel. Right? Those horses could not beat him. It's a lot tougher to stalk horses like this. We'll see if he can do it. I would leave him open, though. He's a good price. He's a good horse. And I think the one-turn mile might be perfect for him.
Gate to Wire just seems like another horse who's a really good fit at this trip. It's not a sprint, but it's a one-turn mile, and it just doesn't seem like he's a horse who wants to go that far. Perfect example. He wins the Swale in February. He comes back in the Fountain of Youth in March. Doesn't run poorly there. He was third. He was a couple lengths off. He just didn't have late energy in that race. And the horses who finished in front of him, Sovereignty in the Derby. River Thames is going to be a major player in the Preakness. Neo Equus is in the Derby, and the fourth place finisher was Burnham Square. He's also in the Derby. So another horse who's just been facing horses probably a little bit better and that are maybe a little better suited to go longer. He seems a great fit in here.
Yeah, my take from his Fountain of Youth was he just doesn't want to go that far. I mean, he ran fine in there. He got a good overall trip, and he just the horses were better, and he doesn't want to go that far. I still go back to his Swale, Gino. I was really taken with that performance. First time on dirt from him. And this is a horse who I really liked as a turf horse, as a 2-year-old. And I wasn't convinced that he was going to transfer his form, but his Swale, that was a wicked pace in front of him there. And it's not like he came from a million out of it. He kept it in range. He came after those leaders in the stretch, and he easily took over and went on and won that race. I thought really convincingly with a good figure. I can see him getting the same trip in this race.
Yeah, and he's a horse now that you can go through every one of his races and you can understand what happened. He either ran well or Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. He's got a really troubled trip. He comes off the bench at the synthetic at Gulfstream. He's really wide that day. He ran sneaky good in his first start back off the bench. So all of the form overall makes sense for Gate to Wire, the number 5. We move to Gaming. He's actually a grade 1 winner who's going to cut back to a sprint. He was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile runner-up for Bob Baffert. It's kind of been like a forgotten about horse, kind of out of sight, out of mind, because we haven't really seen him a whole lot this year or heard much from him. He was disappointing in the Southwest, and then he was in the Hot Springs. He ran second. Was never going to win that race. Clever Again was much better, but that horse Clever Again did get a 101 buyer speed figure. So that's a nice horse, at least worth mentioning. What do we do with Gaming here? He was a tough read for me.
Me too. I feel like I could argue both sides of it too, Gino. Yeah. I mean, to me, he was my favorite Baffert 2-year-old last year. I was obviously totally wrong about that. It hasn't panned out for him. But his Breeders' Cup was fine. You know, he bumped into journalism at the end of the year. You're not supposed to hold that against him. I know the Southwest line looks ugly. He had a brutal trip in that race, and I think you're supposed to give him a pass for that one. And you know, he's just second best last time. If I'm being honest, I'm a little tired of this horse, but I understand what Baffert's doing. Cut him back in distance here. One turn could really work for him. You mentioned he's a grade 1 winner. He's a grade 1 winner around one turn, going 7 furlongs.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me to see him run well. I kind of like him. Others that
Yeah.
are probably going to be better prices from
Me
a
too.
gambling standpoint. Macho Music is really fast, has some big wins against Florida breds, and I'm expecting him to be part of the pace, but this is going to be a tough group for him.
Yeah, I don't like his running style for this race. Look at obviously comes off of a really big win last time, but he's moving way up in class for this, and there's tons of other speed in this field.
Innovator is another horse who was trying to get Kentucky Derby points and get qualified for the Derby. He is grade 3 placed. He drops out of the Rebel and then the Jeff Ruby Stakes. I wonder if he can pass horses or if this is the type of horse who they're just going to try to get really aggressive with and go to the front end, which is something that D. Wayne Lucas does with a lot of his speed horses. I think last year they won this race, right? And then went on and won the Preakness.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is a horse. If you like him, I feel like there are things to hold on to here, because his last 2 races are just the pace was way against him both times. Maybe it'll happen again here on Saturday, but the pace was way against him in both of those races. The Lecomte, he actually ran well in the Lecomte. I know it was a sloppy track. That was a legit pace. He was still hanging around at the end there. That was not a bad performance at all. Listen, I don't like him, and I'm not going to bet him in here, but I feel like there are ways to dress him up a little bit.
Yeah, and you just hit on something too. The forecast right now looks a little bit wet. If that is the case and that track is wet, he might be a horse that you want to upgrade a little bit, because if you look at the maiden breaking score, which was his career best effort on a muddy seal track, and then he came right back and he run well on the sloppy track there too. He might be better if there's a little bit of moisture and that track is wet. Let's round out the field with Perfect Force. Stakes placed. He was behind gaming though last time out, and well behind gaming. And so you and I aren't really sure what to do with gaming. Yeah. What do we do with the horse like Perfect Force? Another one for D. Wayne Lucas.
I could see staying positive on this horse because he's, you know, as opposed to most of the other horses we've already talked about, he's probably going to sit back and make one run in here.
Yeah.
And that could really work. You know, he's getting better with every start. I know. See, to me, it's hard to project him carrying that forward because I'm used to seeing these Lucas horses really get good at Oaklawn through the winter. And then I don't know if they always carry it going forward. If this horse can move forward one more time, though, can he get a piece of this thing late? He's going to be a really good price.
Yeah, and as you were hitting, trip could be really important for him because his stablemate's going to go, and his stablemate will help set it up a little bit more for him too if they go fast early. So Perfect Force rounds out the field. Remember, once you make your selections, head on over to FanDuel, and if you're not a customer, you want to sign up right now because they can give you up to $500 a no sweat first bet back. Join now, FanDuel. Play the races this weekend with our friends over at FanDuel. Mike, let's get 2 selections for this one. How'd you stack them in the Pat Day Mile?
I'm going to try Gate to Wire here and hope he gets the same trip that he got in the Swell there because I feel like he'll be a fair price in this race. And, you know, I think he fits pretty well with these horses. Madicat Road and Built, I get them. I think they're probably the 2 likeliest winners, maybe the 2 horses to beat. Even Gaming, who I still have in there. Again, I'm getting tired of him, but I think he can win here. But they're the 3 favorites. I don't want to bet any of those. I'll bet the 5.
Yeah, to me, the 5 and the 2 were the 2 horses that could offer you somewhat value, right? If Gaming and Madicat Road get bet a little bit and maybe Built is right around that 7-2, I think that's fair. Or you will maybe want a little bit more value with Gate to Wire. I certainly think he makes a lot of sense in this race too. So best of luck playing race number 6 on a fantastic Saturday Kentucky Derby Day card at Churchill Downs.